war. War is commonplace throughout the galaxy, and each race within has its own reasons for fighting. The Eldar of the Craft Worlds will fight to ensure the survival of their species, while the Tau will fight to expand their young and growing empire. The Orcs need no reason to fight but for the sheer joy and almost religious experience it grants the species, and the Imperium fights to keep their world secure from those who would threaten their dominion, be they Xenos or traitor alike. But is there any way for the Imperium of Man to potentially establish a diplomatic relationship with certain Xenos races, potentially even avoiding the need to go to war entirely? As we know, certain species within the galaxy do make use of diplomats when dealing with other races. The Tau utilize the water caste in their dealings with other races, except in times of war, when events are instead handled by the fire caste. The Tau of the water caste are great orators and negotiators, and are often the first members of Tau society to make contact with other races, so that they may join the Tau Empire and allow the influence of the Tau to grow without the need for war. Despite the numerous conflicts between the Tau Empire and the Imperium of Man, the two races have been documented as having allied against common foes. Examples include when the Imperial Guard Commissar Caiaphas Cain helped forge an alliance between Imperial forces and the Tau Empire against a mutual Tyranid threat. Alliances between the Imperium and the Tau Empire were also helped along by the Kroot Shaper known as Gorok to deal with a newly uncovered Genestealer cult. Even during more peaceful times, there have been documented cases of diplomats from the Tau water caste negotiating terms with Imperial ambassadors, some of which were notably accompanied by members of the Imperial Fist Space Marine chapter, presumably as bodyguards. The Craft World Eldar also make use of ambassadors and diplomats. Those Eldar who become diplomats will walk one of the many Eldar paths to allow them to be trained and perform tasks deemed necessary by the specific road of the path, with the discipline needed upon their respective craft worlds. The name of the particular path used for ambassadors is unknown, but for ease of reference, we will refer to it here as the Path of the Diplomat. One of the most famous interactions between the Imperium and an Eldar diplomat resulted in an Imperial guardsman who would be given the nickname Grease Monkey stealing the personal grav vehicle of the diplomat from Craftworld Eandon. Grease Monkey would eventually be sentenced to serve in the penal legions for his crime, suggesting the severity of committing such an action against a diplomat, even one from a Xenos race. More so than any other race, the Craftworld Eldar have worked alongside the forces of the Imperium, for the Eldar and the Imperium have the least amount of reason to fight one another. During the Gothic War, the Imperial Navy and a fleet of Eldar Corsairs joined forces to fight the Chaos forces of Abaddon the Despoiler during one of his Black Crusades. In addition to this, the Eldar faction known as the Inari are also on amicable terms with the Imperium. For not only did the Inari fight alongside Imperial forces against the forces of Chaos, helping even to evacuate Imperial forces from the world of Cadia when the world was lost to the armies of Abaddon the Despoiler, but the Inari were also instrumental in the resurrection and return of the Ultramarines Primarch Rabute Guilliman, a feat that the Imperium is presumably eternally grateful for. Even the Black Templar Space Marine chapter, who are notorious in their hatred of Xenos and Psychers alike, would fight by their side, although begrudgingly. There have been many organisations that, in secret, have formed pacts with the Eldar race. The most notable of these pacts is known as the Coven of Isha. Formed between the Eldar craft world of Ulfway and the Ordo Xenos branch of the Inquisition, the Coven of Isha has rarely been invoked by either side, but essentially is a call to arms. If the Imperium or the Craft World require aid from the other, then the pact will be honoured by both sides. However, neither side is keen to invoke the pact except in the most desperate of circumstances, lest they be viewed as weak by the other. That being said, not all Eldar will view the Imperium the same way. Some craft worlds, such as Biel-Tan, are known to be particularly dismissive of humanity as a whole, although the craft world has allied in the past with the Imperial Guard regiments of Talon, once again against the mutual threat of Chaos Demons and the Iron Warriors Traitor Legion. In fact, after the Talon Desert Raiders and the Eldar of Biel-Tan defeated the forces of Chaos, both Talon and Biel-Tan actually exchanged promises of friendship between one another, and presumably this peace treaty is still in place. Eldar Exodites, by contrast, are distrustful and aggressive towards pretty much any other race who enter their territory, with the exception of other members of the Eldar species. And the Dark Eldar's most common interaction with humanity comes from when raiding parties are conducted against Imperial worlds. That being said, there have been cases of planetary governors hiring Dark Eldar raiders as mercenaries. Even the Orcs at times have made use of what could be generously be called diplomats. Most notably during the War of the Beast, when an Orc named Bezrak, who spoke perfectly fluent Imperial Gothic, appeared before the High Lords of Terra to demand the Imperium's surrender during the war. However, in the case of the majority of Orcs, the closest equivalent to diplomats tend to be the leaders of freebooter bands, who frequently operate as mercenaries for hire, as well as warbands from the Bloodaxe clan, who have been known to work alongside humans at times. In addition, there have been cases of Bloodaxe clan Orcs, who were the first Orcs to come into contact with Imperial forces, to actually adopt certain human customs and stratagems. This willing attitude of the Bloodaxe clan to work with humans, as well as the Bloodaxes adopting certain aspects of human culture, has led to other Orcs viewing the Bloodaxes with a great amount of ridicule for being generally un-Orky. The majority of these cases have been cases of diplomacy in the face of adversity, alliances of convenience against a shared threat that affected both races. So what about things such as trade deals or the such like? For the most part, such things do not occur within Imperial society as a whole. Organisations such as the Ordo Hereticus of the Inquisition and the Ecclesiarchy, thanks to the tenets of the Imperial Creed, view Xenos races as vile blemishes upon the galaxy that should be purged, for in their eyes they are an affront to humanity's birthright of galactic dominion. However, when new races are discovered by the Imperium, generally only those races that the Imperium considers a threat or potential threat are subjected to xenocidal campaigns. Those races that are either too primitive or provide no credible threat at all are either ignored or simply contained. In regards to things such as trade deals being formed between the Imperium and other Xenos races, such deals are generally forbidden by the Adeptus Terra and the Adeptus Mechanicus. However, this does not stop certain planetary governors from importing exotic or dangerous Xenos goods such as weapons, narcotics, or toxins. There is one Xenos race, however, the distribution and trade of whose goods and services, as well as the Xenos themselves, are considered to be acceptable by the Imperium as a whole: the Jakaro. The Jakaro are an ape-like race, resembling ancient Terran orangutans. Similar to the Orcs known as Mech Boys, the Jakaro feature a genetically structured understanding of technology, and as such, given enough raw material and time, are able to create almost anything.